Hello, welcome to RISE EduTech platform. I am Jairam, discussing the physics paper for you in detailed explanation of each and every step. Today we will be discussing the physics mock test paper which is conducted on 7th February All India mock test. Right, so coming to the first question of yours. In this question he has given a figure, that is a circuit diagram in this case. So coming to this circuit diagram, he has taken the two loops here. So he is asking the current that is passing through the 10 volts batteries. So this is a pure application of the, either you can go in the different methods. So Kirchhoff's law is one of the method, and equivalent EMF or equivalent resistance, you can go for the equivalent resistance method, anything like that. So by the different methods, so I'll prefer to go to the this Kirchhoff's last method. Let me draw the diagram again here, please. So coming to this particular diagram, so in the left side of the loop he has given it as an, so there is an 5 ohms resistance which is provided here. This is 5 ohms, and here there is a battery of 20 ohm volts is been given here, and a resistance, this one here you given it as an 2 ohms, and there is a resistance of 10 ohms which is provided here. And in the other part of the loop he has taken a battery of 10 volts, and this is connected to another resistance here whose value is 4 ohm. Okay, so let us reduce this particular circuit to the, so let us imagine some current I1 is coming from this side, from this branch. So this current will be flowing across this particular thing, and now let me take some I1 is being, this is an I1 minus I2 is traveling here, and the current that will be entering over here also I1 minus I2, you can take it. So here the current that is been traveling is the I2. Okay, so this is the equation that we are having. Now let us take the loop equation for the first one. So first write the loop equation here, so that can be written as an, so that is 20, which is an current is coming from the lower to the higher potential, plus 1 minus, so I'm writing combinedly for the 5 ohms and the 2 ohms which is in the first loop, that is 7 I1, and there is an 10 I2 which is been in the middle branch, 10 I2. So that is 10 I2 is been flowing, this is the one 10 I2 I have taken 10 I2. So this should be equal to the 0, or so rearrange this particular things anyway. So next one, second loop, this is the first equation for the from the first loop of us. And now coming to the second loop, this is our second loop. For the second loop equation, let us write it as an, this is 10. Okay, I'm going from the lower to the same conditions, please. Minus, this is 10 I2, and this is plus 4 I1 minus 4 I2. The one which is coming from here, let me take this diagram in the reverse order like this. So the current that is been coming from here is I1 minus I2. So this I1 and I2 will be coming up to this particular junction. From here I1 is going to be divided in this way, and let me take this direction of the I2 in the reverse. So this will be equal to the 0. This is our second equation. So the same equation or the second equation can be reduced as, this is 10 plus 4 I1 of us minus 14 I2 is equal to 0. So now this becomes, now is our second equation. Let me erase this number. Okay, So now on solving these two equations, so how can we solve these two equations? So solving, just a moment. Now, so solving equation 1 and 2. So let us solve these two equations, please. So for that one, I need to multiply the equation 1. I'm multiplying with the 4 plus equation 2. We can multiply it with the 7. So your equations will be turned out as an, so that will be your 80 first equation minus 28i1 minus 40i2 is equal to 0. Another one, 70 plus this is 28i1 minus 98i2 is equal to 0. So on solving these two equations, you will be getting it as an 150 is equal to 138i2. So from this one, your I2 value is going to be turned out to the 1.08 amperes. Fine. Now on solving again or substituting this value of the I2 in first equation or second equation, you can get I1 value as 1.30 amperes. So he has asked the current passing through the 10 volts battery. The current that is passing through the 10 volts battery is I1 minus I2, that is equal to the 1.30 minus 1.08. So which will be giving out to be 0.22 amperes approximately. So we have got this one. Now going to the options, you can see that your third option is matching with the whatever the answer that we have got, and it is from positive terminal to the negative terminal. So this will be your right answer. Fine. Coming to the second question, the liquid is filled with a spherical container of radius r till a height h. In this position, the liquid surface at the edges are horizontal. The contact angle he is asking. So coming to this particular thing, so let me draw this particular spherical container here. So this is a spherical container. Imagine it to be a spherical one. Okay. So the liquid is filled up to a height. This is the height h. Okay. Or else let me draw a bigger one, that will be the most comfortable further looking for you. Now, so this is our spherical one. Okay. Now this is the surface on which, so this is the center of the your spherical thing, and he has filled the liquid up to a height called as an h. So this particular is height is h. So obviously this will be the radius of the sphere, and this one is going to be the r minus h, and this is your radius r. So what is your angle of contact over here? So this is your line drawn to this particular surface. If I draw a tangent, so this tangent will be always perpendicular to the radius. Okay, so the angle made by the inside the liquid with the tangent, this is your theta. So if this is your theta, then this angle will be your 90 minus theta. Now, so this angle will be as will be the theta. Okay, so as we have told, the tangent drawn at any part of a circle will be perpendicular to the radius here. So that means we need to find the theta is going to be how much. So from the triangle, you can write it as n. This is cos theta is equal to what? Cos theta is equal to your adjacent side by hypotenuse. Your adjacent side is r minus h, and your hypotenuse is r. So this is your whatever the he has asked, the angle of contact that is being asked with respect to this. So now coming to the question, he has asked the liquid surface and the edges are horizontal contact angle. So according to our solution, we have got the contact angle to be the cos theta is equal to r minus h by r. So r minus h by r is going to be your second option, that is B. So now coming to the your next part of the question, that is third one. As the switch S is closed in the circuit in the figure, the current passed through it. So he is asking how much current is been passing. So let me draw this particular diagram again. So in this case, this particular diagram, he has taken an this 10 volts over here. So let me name this particular point as an A. So a 4 ohms resistance is being connected here. This is your 4 ohms, and this is the junction point. From here another 2 ohms is being connected in this way, and this is connected across a potential of this is 5 ohms. And from here he has given another 2 ohms resistance to the bottom, and here he has taken a switch, and this is connected to the earth. This is 2 ohm. Now when the switch S is closed, how this particular thing is going to behave as an, now let's remove this point and let's join this line. Okay, so now this is obviously connected to the earth in the sense this whose potential is going to be 0 volts. Now this point A is at the higher potential. Let us name this point as an B and this point as an C. So the current whatever is going to be there, that will be passing through the in this direction, or let it be some I1, and the current that is been passing from here, let it be the current as an I2, and both the currents combine and they can flow over here as an I, and we can take this I as an, it's a sum of I1 plus I2. Here we are applying the Kirchhoff's current law, that is sum of all the currents at the junction is going to be the equal, or it is equal to 0. Sum of currents entering and the leaving will be same. So here the junction is B. Now how do you write this particular current? So that is potential at the point B minus 0 volts by potential difference across the B and earth by the resistance across them is 2 ohm is equal to, this is current I1, that is potential difference across A and B is 10 minus potential difference across the B by resistance is 4 ohms plus the potential difference across, this is 5 minus VB by this is 2 ohms. It is your potential across the BC branch. Now on solving these equations, so this will be as VB by 2 and is equal to the, so let us take the LCM on this side please. So that will be the 10 minus VB plus 10 minus 2VB by 4. So let me remove this one 2 times, and this will be the 2VB is equal to, this is 20 minus 3VB. From this one 5VB. So 5VB is equal to 20. From this one VB is equal to the 4 ohms. So potential at the point B is 4 ohms. So he is asking current through the, what he is asking in the question, just go through that one. So when switch is closed, the current is going to be how much? So fine, so the current I value is going to be the, as we have written here, this is the current VB minus 0 by 2, which is 4 minus 0 by 2, that comes out to be 2 amperes current that will be flowing into the earth. and you can also find out the I1. I1 is equal to how much? That is 10 volts minus 4 volts VB by 4, which is equal to the 6 by 4. So that comes out to be 3 by 2, or that is 1.5 amps. And next your I2 current, which is along the branch of C to B. So that can be written as an 5 minus 4 by 2, that is 1 by 2, which is equal to the 0.5 amps. So you can see here your 1.5 and 0.5 both are combining and give you as an 2 volts. So let me write it a little bit neatly. So now this will be the 2 amps. Fine. So now coming to the options. So what is the answer? Is going to be that will be the 2 amperes, which is your option C. Fine. Now coming to your fourth question. The work functions of metals A and B are in the ratio 1:2. If light of frequencies f and 2f are incidented on the surfaces A and B respectively, the ratio of maximum kinetic energies of the photoelectron emitted is, he is asking the ratio of the kinetic energies, that is the maximum. So f is greater than the threshold frequency of the A. Okay, he has given these conditions. So this condition is very, very important. It says that photoelectric effect is taking place and photoelectrons are emitting. So first we have confirmed in the question that photoelectric effect is taking place and electrons are ejecting. So definitely they will have some kinetic energy. So now what is an, according to the equation of Einstein's photoelectric equation, the incident energy E is equal to work function plus kinetic energy. So here I am writing the work function as a W and incident energy as n. So incident energy can be written as an H into F. This is the one which is falling on the metal A. And work function of the A. So what is the work function of the A he has given in the question is, he has given in the 1:2 ratio. Okay, so let me take it as an W, and your kinetic energy, we need to find out this ratio of the kinetic energy Ke of the A. Fine. Now coming to the second one, incident energy of the B is equal to H into 2F. This is the one he has given instant frequency. So 2HF I am writing now. So work function of the B, let me take it as a 2 into W, and this is your kinetic energy of the B. We need to determine, we need to find out this ratio. So substitute these values in the, for the A as well as for the B. So that is H into F, where H is a Planck's constant, is equal work function W plus kinetic energy of the A. So this is your first primary equation for the metal A that we have written. In this case we need two unknowns are there, H into F and work done. Now that is work function. So either we need to eliminate the work function, we need to get the W value, so that everything can be in the HF format or W format. So from this one, kinetic energy of the A can be written as an H into F minus work function here, and similarly kinetic energy of the B by substituting the same equation can be written as an 2 into, this is HF minus 2 into W. So here we need not even to find out the HF or W value also. Take out the 2 common from here, that will become as an HF minus work function. So what is this one is, this is nothing but an kinetic energy of the A here. So in this place you can substitute the kinetic energy of the A, that is 2 into kinetic energy of the A, substitute here. Then he is asking you the ratio of what? So kinetic energy of the A by kinetic energy of the B he is asking. So this is equal to what? A by B, that comes out to be 1:2 ratio. So this will be your answer. So now go to the question, please. So verify the answer, please. So first option is 1:1, which is not there. We have got the option 1:2, so that will be your second option here. Right, now next we'll go for the fifth question. So coming to the fifth question of us. So what he has given in the question is a point charge Q is moves from point P to the S. So it is traveling from P to ES in this particular path. So in this way it has been traveling here P to S along the path PQRS in an uniform electric field. Electric field, he has given it as an E, pointing co-parallel to the positive X direction. So it is in the positive X axis, fine. Directed towards the positive X axis, and he has given the coordinates of the points P, Q, R, S as P is located at A comma B comma 0 and Q is located at 2A comma 0 comma 0 and R is located at, this is the R location, which is A comma minus B comma 0. Okay, and the S is exactly at the origin. So the work done by the field in the above process is given by, so he is asking the work done by the field in the above process. We need to find out the work done is going to be how much. So how do we calculate this work done in this particular case from this particular point to the work done in this particular situation? So you can go in an direct procedure, or you can go from the point to point procedure. So let me go for this particular direct procedure conditions. What is the work done, by the way? So by looking at your diagram, this is your diagram that is been given over here. So this is your x-axis. So electric field is being parallel to the positive x direction. This is your E bar direction. So here is the point P and here is your origin here. So it is traveling in this way, it is traveling like this and finally reaching to here. So this is P, this point is Q, this is R, and this origin he has named it as an ES. So it is traveling from P to Q, it is traveling from Q to R, it is traveling from R to S. In this way it has been traveling fine, no problem. So how do we calculate this work done? So can we calculate this work done as a force into displacement conditions, please? So when we go for the force into displacement conditions, work done W is equal to, or this is F bar dot AS bar, or that will be the Fs cos theta condition. So coming to the Fs cos theta situations, what is this force? Because on a charge, so what is moving over there? So charge Q is moving. So how can you write the force equation as an, so F can be written as an, this is EQ. So if the displacement and force are perpendicular to each other, that is, then in that particular situation the work done will be 0. So what will be the direction of the force on the charge? Force will be acting in the direction of the electric field. So electric field E bar is acting along the x-axis, that is EI cap. Then force will also be acting along the positive x-axis, and that is equal to the F I cap. You can take it as an, this is the F bar is acting along the F I cap in this case. So this is the direction of this. Now, so since it's a conservative in the nature, so what are the locations of the point P? So point P is located at which location here? A comma B. So the coordinates of the point P are A comma B comma 0. So that means along the x-axis it is traveling by the A, and along the y-axis this particular length is going to be the B, and this will be the A. Okay, next. So Q is located at a location of, this is located at 2a comma 0 comma 0, 2a comma 0 comma 0. That means, so I have to draw this one again. So that means from here it has been traveling. So let me take this dotted line here. This is your axis actually. So this is your x-axis. Okay. So now let me erase this one here. So this comes out to be the B is standing up to this one. So this is your location. Okay. Now let me rearrange this one. R, and this is your direction of it. Fine. So this is your 2a comma 0 comma 0, and R is located at a comma minus b comma 0. This is the one. So next one, this is your origin. Fine. Okay. So this is the, we have rearranged in this way. So obviously this should be like this. So because it is a comma minus b comma 0, so let me restructure this one. Fine. So these two should be perpendicular to each other. So this is your a. Fine. Now, so on the whole, if you see that it is traveling overall, it is traveling a displacement of, from where to where it is traveling a displacement of, in this, from this point to this point, and this is your a, but you are moving in the opposite direction from p to s. So your displacement vector is directed along the minus I cap. So minus I cap in the sense, so overall work done can be directly written as an work done is equal to F bar, which is along the I cap direction, and displacement, value of the displacement is A of minus I cap, which is acting in the opposite direction. This is your displacement. S bar is equal to A of minus I cap. You are traveling towards the negative x-axis. Fine. So now the dot product of these two things will be the F A minus of F A. I dot I is going to be the 1, but what is your F value is EQ. So that is minus EQ A. So this is your work done in terms of job. Fine. Okay. This is your question. This is your, so minus QEA. So this will be your option B, sir, here. Fine, let's go for the next question. That is question number 6. So according to this particular question, a conducting square loop of side L, a conducting square loop of side L, and the resistance R, its R moves in a plane, moves in its plane, okay, with a uniform velocity v. So it is been moving directed towards this right side with certain velocity v here. So perpendicular to one of the sides, the magnetic induction B is constant in time and space, pointing perpendicularly and into the plane of the loop, exists everywhere with part of the loop outside the field as shown in the figure. So he is asking the induced EMF. So according to the induced EMF conditions, what is your induced EMF is? Induced EMF is equal to, or else let me put it in a normal way, induced EMF is equal to, the general formula is going to be the BLV, that is an effective length over here. Now coming to the question here, so length, or so how do you express this particular thing? So how do we put down this one in an cross product conditions, please? If you put it in a cross product conditions, sixth question. You know, so now coming to the sixth question, A conducting square loop of side L and the resistance R is moving in its plane with a uniform velocity v perpendicular to the one of the sides. The magnetic induction B is constant in the time space pointing perpendicular. So magnetic field is perpendicularly into the plane, it is okay. No. Now, how do we go for this particular thing? Induced EMF formula will be, so what will be the induced formula? This is the E is equal to BLV. So since E is equal to BLV, can we write it in a vectorial formation? E is equal to B into L bar cross V bar. So if length and velocity are parallel to each other, so now in the diagram, if I go for the diagram here, so this is the velocity direction V bar. So for these lengths, suppose A, this is B, this is C, and this one is D. For these lengths, that is AB and CD, so these two are parallel to velocity V bar. So induced EMF will not be induced along the AB and CD. So, and moreover, BD is outside the magnetic field. Since the magnetic field is confined up to this particular point, so BD is outside, so the only leftover conductor is AC. So then you can go for the induced EMF E is equal. Okay, so in this case E is equal to, you can write it as an B into cross product, that is L into V into this is sine 90. So sine 90 is obviously 1 for you. So that's going to be the B L V. This will be the induced EMF in this particular case, and that comes out to be your option C. Okay, now go for the next, we'll go for the next question, please. Coming to the 7th question, a capacitor of capacitance C1 can withstand a maximum potential of the 6 volt, and another one it can withstand a maximum of 4 kilovolts. So since charge is going to be they are connected in the series combination here, so since the charge is going to be they are connected in the series, let me draw the diagram. This is your first capacitance C1 and this is your second capacitance C2. C1 is equal to 1 microfarad here, and C2 is equal to, this is 3 microfarad, and the potential across this one is going to maximum potential, that is V1 is equal to 6 kilovolts and V2 is equal to 4 kilovolts. So if you give any potential which is more than this 6 here, so capacitor is not going to work, and as well as if the potential drop across the second one is more than 4 kilovolts, it stops working. So since he is asking you the maximum value, we cannot go for your first and the second options. So since the charge is same, that is in the series combination Q1 is equal to Q2, charge is same, then it will be the C1 V1 is equal to C2 V2. So since C1 V1 is equal to C2 V2, then the potential drops V1 and V2 will be is equal to, when you connect to any particular battery, they will be of the ratio C2 is to C1, which is equal to 3 is to 1. So that means 3 parts will be dropping at the 3 parts are going to be dropped at this particular conditions. 3 parts will be dropped at the first capacitor, and V1 is going to be your 3 parts of the total potential will be dropped at the first capacitor, and 1 part will be dropped across this particular case at the second capacitor. Now, so since it is a maximum condition, so I'm not going for an option A or option B. So because if we go for the option A and option B, it is 3 volts will be dropped at the first one and 1 volt will be dropped at the second capacitor. This is the minimum condition. So if we go for the then I'll be directly going for the fourth option if I go. So fourth option, that is 10 volts. If it is been connected, if 10 volts is divided into the 3:1 ratio, then V1 will be equal to the 3 parts out of total 4 parts into 10. So this will be the 2.5 volts. So 3 into 2.5 volts, 7.5 volts. If 7.5 volts would be dropped at the C1, then it doesn't have any function because it can maximum withstand up to only the 6 volts. So D option cannot be validated here. That means I cannot take the 10 volts as an input. So now if I verify for the 8 volts here, then V1 will be equal to the 3 parts out of total 4 parts into 8. This goes for 2 times, that is 6 volts can be dropped at the first one, and second potential drop will be the 1 part out of the total 4 parts into 8, that is 2 volts. So it can withstand. So since the maximum is going to be the 6 volts, and he has also asked in the question as maximum, so the better option will be your option C. We cannot go for the first option because it's going to be give you the minimum condition, and option 10, that is D, that is 10 volts. If we apply the 10 volts, it can be dropped 7.5. 7.5 is exceeding the maximum limit of the first capacitor, so we cannot go for the option D. So the better, and for the max given conditions, C is going to be the satisfying situation. So now let's go for the option 8th question. 3 rods made of the same material A and having the same cross section, fine, are joined as shown in the figure. Each rod is of same length. The left and right ends are maintained at 0 degrees and 90 degrees. Okay, he has given this as a 0, and this is 90 degrees, and this is also 90 degrees. The temperature of the junction he is asking. So since these two parts, so this is your first rod, this is your first rod, this is the second one, this is your third one, 1, 2, and this one is 3. This is maintained at 90 degrees centigrade. This is also maintained at 90 degrees centigrade. This is maintained at 0 degrees centigrade. Junction, let me take it as an some point O. So 2 and 3 are at higher temperature, and 1 is at the lower temperature. So heat starts flowing from the 2 and from the 3, and they both combine to give you here. Let me take it as a rate of heat flow as an H1 here, and the rate of heat flow, or else H2, let me take it as an, and rate of heat flow here as an H3, they are combining to give as an H1. So that means I can write the rate of heat flow H1 is equal to, this is H2 plus H3. This is your rate of heat flow that is been flow. So what is your, according to the thermal conductivity, the rate of heat flow, that is H is equal to dq by dt is equal to K A into temperature difference delta theta by the length it is been traveling. Okay, no? So since in the given in the question that material is same, area of cross section is same, and length is having the same area of cross section, and length is also the same conditions, please. So on that sense, if you go, then that means their thermal conductivity K is same, area of cross section is same, and the length is also same. So that means the rate of heat flow is going to be directly dependent upon the temperature difference. On this particular thing it will be dependent. So instead of H1, H2, H3, I'll replace the temperature differences across those lengths. So this will be the temperature at O minus temperature at H, that is 0 degrees, is equal to, this is 90 minus temperature at the O plus, this is for the second branch if I write it, then for the third one from O to 3, this is also 90 minus temperature at the O, this is your third one, this is represents your first one. Then T naught or temperature at the junction is equal to, this is 180 minus 2 T naught, or from this one 3 T naught is equal to, this becomes as an 180. From this one on solving, T naught is equal to 180 by 3, and that will be come out as an 60 degrees. So this should be your junction temperature. So your junction temperature 60 degrees is there, we have got, and that represents your option B. Now coming to the question number 9. So coming to the question number 9, for the situation shown in the figure, blocks A and B, each of mass 1 kg, and free to move, find the acceleration of the block B, he says. So, and if it is, he has also given that value, if it is root xg, then find the value of the x. So what will happen when you move, when you are applying the force in this direction, what can happen? That means you are pulling this particular block in the upward direction. In this upward direction, you are, this is the direction, this has been moving here. Let me draw a diagram in the normal space, please. So this is your bigger block, fine, and this is been named as an A, and this is on the ground. So now this has been connected to a pulley over here. So this is connected to a pulley. From here a block B is been hanging. So this is the one, and from here you are applying the force in this direction. So obviously the tension over here is going to be the T, same tension will be running over here also. So in which direction the system will try to move here? So the system will be moving in both the directions, that is the block B will be moving in the upward direction as well as in the forward direction. So now we need to find out the acceleration along the x-axis and acceleration along the y-axis. So now for the block diagram, let me go for to find out the acceleration along the x-axis of the B will be equal to the acceleration of the A itself, please. So if we go for the free body diagram of this one, free body diagram of the block A, there are two forces acting on this particular thing. That is, since here the pulley is been connected to this one, so tension is going to be T, will be acting in the horizontal direction, and there is a vertical thing is also been there, that is the T. So now if you put down the equation, what is the normal reaction that will be pressing by the B on this one will be here. This is your normal reaction. So if I write the forces for the x-axis, since its motion is towards the positive x direction, so T should be greater than N. So T minus N is equal, T minus N is equal to both the blocks each of mass 1 kg, that is M into mass of this one, suppose A. So mass is going to be the one value, so he has given in the question that mass is 1 kg. So if I substitute, that will be the T minus N is equal to the M into, that is A1, if I take it as an A1. So mass is going to be, let me remove this one, 1 kg substitution. So this will be the case. So let me take it as an equation 1, sir. So if this is an equation 1, now if we go, how do we write the normal reaction? So if we go for the block diagram on the same thing as we have done in the case of the A, let us take the block diagram of the B. So what are the forces that will be acting on this one is T1 is going to be, this is the T, and obviously your normal reaction will be acting in this direction, and there is a pseudo force of this particular thing which is going to be the M into A0 or A1, this is the one. So from this one, for the horizontal or along the x-axis, if I write it as an normal reaction is equal to M into A1. So normal reaction is equal to M into A1, the mass is going to be the 1 kg. If I substitute in the earlier conditions, if I substitute in the earlier case, this is your one of the relation we have got, and as M mass is going to be the 1, you can write it as an A1. Fine. So normal reaction. Now substitute along the y-axis. Let's write for this one. So downward force is going to be the mg, and still it is moving in the upward direction. So that means upward tension is going to be greater than the mg. T minus mg. This is along the y-axis I am writing. This is equal to the mass in acceleration of the A with respect to the B. So this can be written as this is value is going to be the tension value is going to be how much? If I put it over here, substituting the n value in this equation 1, then we will be getting the tension to T is equal to 2 times of A1. So this is 2A1 minus G is equal to acceleration of this one, which is nothing but your A1. So that can be written as your A1 value is equal to the G. So now, since acceleration of the B we need, and we have got the acceleration of the A with respect to B also, and we need to find out the acceleration of the A with respect to the B. So that means acceleration of the B can be written as a root over acceleration of the A with respect to B whole square minus acceleration of the A, that is A1 whole square. That comes out to be the root 2 times of G. So according to your question, x is equal to 2. So since x is equal to 2, which will be your option is going to be the A. Next, coming to the next question, a ball is thrown upwards at an angle of 30 degrees here to the horizontal and lands on the top of the edge of the building, that is at a height of 20 meters away and 5 meters high. Speed with which the ball is thrown, he is asking. So let us go to this particular diagram again for this one, please. So coming to this particular diagram, he is being projecting a body. Its body is being projected. So this is the point where it's been landing. So vertical displacement is 5 meters and your horizontal displacement is 20 meters for this one. The angle of projection he has given it to be some 30 degrees here. Now if I go for the equation, that is x is equal to parabolic equation. Since horizontal acceleration is going to be 0, that will be the u cos theta into t. X is equal to 20 meters, so u x into t. This is the one I have got. So from this one, the time can be written as an 20 by ux t is equal. Now coming to the vertical displacement of this one, y is equal u sine theta into t minus half g t square. This is the one. So your vertical displacement is 5 is equal to uy into t minus half g t square. This is the condition. And initially what you can write at this particular instance, at the starting point, tan 30 is equal uy by ux. Tan 30 is 1 by root 3 is equal to uy by ux. From this one, ux is equal to root 3 times of uy. Okay, so this is the relationship between this relation. You can also substitute in u cos theta and u sin theta. So u cos theta is going to be the ux, that is initial velocity into root 3 by 2, and u sin theta is u sin 30, that is u by 2. So u by 2 can be replaced with the uy, so that will become as an ux is equal to root 3. So from that also you can write. Now if I substitute the t here, what you will be getting, sir? So 5 is equal to, from this equation 1, substitute t here, that is uy, just a moment. So that will be the uy of, so this is 20 by ux minus which is half g into t square, which is equal to the 400 by ux square. So now this particular thing, what is this value is uy by ux? Value is root 3. So 5 is equal to the uy by ux value is 1 by root 3 into 20 minus 5 into, I have taken the g as an 10 into 400 by ux square. So from this one we can determine the value of the ux. From this one we can determine the value of the ux, or else you can remove the 5 here. This goes for 4 times, here 5 has been cancelled. So from this one, 1 is equal 4 by root 3 minus, this will be the 400 by ux. Okay, so this is the one. Or else if you substitute the u from this one, if you solve, he is asking the initial velocity. Ux can be replaced with the u cos theta. So that is 400 by u cos 30 is equal to 4 minus root 3 by root 3. Cos 30 is root 3 by 2. So this will be converted as an, so root 3 by 2, that is 800 by u into root 3 is equal to 4 minus root 3 by root 3. So you can remove the denominator root 3. So you can get this particular thing as an, so you can get this particular thing on solving as an u is equal to that is 800 minus 4 minus root 3. So your final answer will be approximately, you will be getting it as an some 20 meter per second. So that represents your second option, that is B. Okay, so now we'll be discussing the 11th question. So in the 11th question he is explaining two fixed long conducting wires cross each other perpendicularly so that they do not actually touch but close to each other as shown in the figure. Equal current I exists in each wire in the directions indicated. In what regions will there be some points with zero net magnetic field? Okay, so coming to this particular question, so look at in the question, the current is coming vertically downwards and moving towards the right side. So now for drawing this particular thing, so in this case the current is vertically coming down like this. Another one, the current is traveling towards the right side. So now in this case he is asking where the magnetic field will be 0. So since current is coming down, you can apply the right hand thumb rule. So according to the right hand thumb rule, the direction of the magnetic field or the magnetic field will be produced around it. So if you divide this one into, this is the first coordinate and this is your second coordinate, this is your third coordinate, and this one is your fourth one. So now the magnetic field will be moving this here in the first coordinate, it will be coming out of the plane. So I'm representing with a dot, and in this particular field it is going into the plane, that is representing with a cross one. So the same case here also, in the second coordinate field, because of the current passing in the horizontal section, that will be the out of the plane, and this will be the into the plane. So now because of this, the current which has been vertically coming in the downward direction, so here the current will be moving out of the plane here, dot, and in this particular case it will be coming into the plane here, and here also it will be the. So now when we look in this particular case, suppose this is your direction, it is coming in the downward direction, it is going into the plane here, and here it will be coming out of the plane. So to have the net magnetic field to be 0, both the magnetic fields has to be in opposite direction. So when you observe carefully, as the magnetic field value is, that is B is equal to, for an infinite long straight wire, B is equal to mu naught by 2 pi into I by R. So at a given distance along this line, you can find that magnetic field will be 0, and this line is passing through your second quadrant and your fourth quadrant. So in these cases, the magnetic field will be 0. You can observe in the third and first quadrant, the direction of magnetic field is same. So in those conditions, the magnetic field cannot be equal to 0. So the magnetic field B will be equal to 0 only in second and fourth quadrants. Fine. So that means your answer will be in this case is. So what is the question? In what regions will there be some points with 0 net magnetic field? So okay, I have taken in the reverse order. Now according to this one, it should be in the, so that need to change. This one he has taken it as in first coordinate in the question, and here he has taken it as in third, and this as a second, this one is a fourth as it is. So I need to convert this one as an, so let me erase this. So this comes under the first coordinate where the magnetic field will be 0, and the second coordinate and the third coordinate magnetic field will not be 0. So now which option? That will be your option D. Now coming to your next question, a beaker containing the liquid is placed on a table underneath a microscope which can be moved along the vertical scale. The microscope is focused through the liquid onto the mark on the table. When the reading of the scale is A, this is the reading of the scale is A, it is next focused on the upper surface of the liquid and the reading is B. So this is these two are the readings. When it is being focused through the liquid, reading is A. When it is focused on the upper surface of the liquid, it is B. More liquid is added and the observations are repeated. The corresponding readings are C and D. So he is asking what is the refractive index of this particular liquid is going to be how much. So coming to the refractive index of this particular liquid. So how do we see this particular thing? First, initially, when there is no liquid over there, when there is no extra liquid is added, we'll be doing this particular sum in the two different cases. So we'll be doing this particular thing in the two different cases. What are these? First one is before adding the liquid, and a second phase is going to be the after adding the liquid. Now, so let us consider this particular thing here. Let us take this is an bottom surface of any container, and up to here the liquid is being filled. So now when you are focusing this particular thing, that is a mark which is suppose at this particular location, so from the lower surface it is giving you a reading of the A. It is giving you a reading of the A, that is from the lower surface of the mark to this lower surface of the container, and it is giving a reading of yours as an B from the upper surface of the liquid, and the mark is going to be the B. So now how can you determine what is he is asking in the question is, so refractive index he is asking. So how do we calculate the refractive index, please? So refractive index can be calculated from your, that is mu is equal to, you can go for the real depth by apparent depth conditions. So since the object is in this one, object is in the air medium and you are watching from an water, then that means the object is in the denser medium. You can consider the image you are watching from the rarer medium. So that mu is equal to, you can go for an real depth by real depth by apparent depth this condition. Okay, so now using this particular relationship, so we'll try to solve this particular thing. So what is the distance, what is an apparent depth from here according to the diagram? So this will be your apparent depth, which is the b minus a. So now your real depth, that is d real, can be written as an mu into, this will be the b minus a. This is your real depth. Okay, so now in the similar conditions, this is when the liquid is in the normal height or in the original conditions. Now when you are pouring some other liquid here, when you are placing some other liquid in this particular case, so suppose it is showing some readings called as an C from here, and from the top surface it will be the D. From the top surface it will be the D. Okay, so now this is the extra initial level of the liquid. This is the extra thing that we have poured into this particular thing. Okay, so now based upon this one, so we can write that is the difference between the initial and the final level of the liquid as an the difference between initial and final level of liquid is, this you can write it as an, that is mu times of, this will be the D minus C, from this one minus of, this is B minus A. This is the difference between the initial and final levels of your liquids. So on expanding this one, obviously you can get it as an mu times of, this is D minus C minus B plus A. Okay, now since the liquid is added in your second case, so that particular liquid, or you can go from the, or the difference between the upper levels of the liquid is the difference between upper level of the liquid level of liquid is, that is D minus B. So this behaves as an real depth. So on that sense, so D minus B is equal to mu times of D minus C minus B plus A. So from this one you can get your mu value is going to be how much? So on solving this particular relationship, so you can get to your option as n, that will be your first option in this particular case. So let's go for the next one. In the circuit shown below, Vt is the sinusoidal voltage that is been given. Sinusoidal voltage Vt is the, and voltage drop across the VA Bt across the resistance. So in the circuit, Vt is, and this is the one given as an sinusoidal voltage source. So voltage drop across the resistance is asking is V of Bt. So according to this particular relationship, so what is the thing he is asking? So when you go for the options, so is it behaving as an half wave rectifier he is asking? Is it behaving as a full wave rectifier, or has the same peak value in the positive and negative half cycles, and have the different peak values in the negative and positive half cycles? So this is what he is asking now. So what will happen when the cycle is going to be given, or when the input is being provided to this particular case? So when in this particular situation, so if we draw the diagram again, redrawing, so this is your first diode. He has given it as an D1, and this is here there is another diode called as an some D2 here. So this is the diode D2, and this is your diode D1. So another resistance R is connected across here. So this is the potential drop across AB. He is asking this particular thing. So resistance is R, and here is an AC source which has been provided V as a function of time, and two resistances are being connected here. This is 150 ohms, and this one is going to be a 100 ohms. So now when you observe carefully, so that is an input signal is an which is an sinusoidal wave equation. So this is a positive cycle, this is a negative cycle, voltage as a function of the time. So this is a time function. So when positive signal is being provided here, so positive signal will be going to this particular point. If we imagine, so D1 will be in the reverse bias, D2 will be in the forward bias conditions. So that means the current will be conducted in this particular branch, the current will be passing in this particular case. So for this particular given the circuit, then the current can be written as an voltage supplied, or VRMS, that is an RMS value, or if I want to go for the peak value also we can go. Then the resistance will be the 150 plus R. So the same equation can be written as an I0 is equal to, that is peak value V0 by 150 plus R. So this is when D2 is in forward bias, when D2 is in FB, that is forward bias. Now when negative cycle goes, this is for the positive cycle, and for negative cycle, then the peak value of the current can be written as an V0 by, that will be the 100 plus R. So in this case, that is D1 will be in the forward bias. So in both the cases, the current that we are obtaining is not going to be the same. That means your peak value for the positive cycle and the peak value for the negative cycle is not same. So since both peak values are not same, so what you can go for this one is an, so hence the peak value is in the positive and negative cycles is same. So this cannot be the option, because we are getting at both of them are the wrong. So here the different peak values during the positive and negative half cycle, so this should be your correct option. So D is your correct answer. So coming to your next question, a resistance of the given wire is obtained by measuring the by measuring the current flowing in it, and the voltage difference applied across it. If the percentage errors in the measurement of the current and the voltage difference are 3% each, then the error in the value of the resistance of the wire is how much? So in either cases, the percentage difference in this one is going to be the 3%. So now coming to this one, what is the relationship between the resistance and the potential difference and the current? From the Ohm's law, R can be written as an V by I, and in the case of the errors, so you can go for the delta R by R into 100. Percentage error in the resistance is equal to the delta V by V into 100 plus delta I by I into 100. So the percentage error I am calculating here. So in the case of the errors, we'll be going for the plus sign only here. So in this case, this is 3% and this is also 3%. So overall will be the 6% will be your the percentage error in this particular case. That means your answer should be your A, option A. Alright, coming to the 15th question. Two sound waves moving in the same direction, so their directions are same, both of them are the sound waves. The average power transmitted is going to be the same. So average power transmitted in this case is also the same thing. Okay, by them are equal and their wavelengths across a cross section. So given cross section is also same. So while their wavelengths he is asking in the ratio of the 1:2, pressure amplitudes would be in what ratio? So what is this pressure amplitudes here? Pressure amplitudes from the amplitude of the pressure is equal to, that is BAK, where B is called as an bulk modulus and K is the propagation constant. So where A is an amplitude or displacement amplitude, so all these factors are independent of the wavelength. So that means we can say that the ratio of the pressure amplitude for both of them, he is asking pressure amplitudes would be in the ratio. So that means he is asking the delta P naught of the first wave by this is delta P naught for the second wave. So these two are independent of that particular wavelength, so you can say it as an 1. So that means your option will be your first option. Now coming to your next question, that is a question number 16th. So in this particular question, the system shown in the figure released from the rest. Pulley and the springs are massless. And the friction is absent. Everywhere there is no friction at any particular instant. The speed of the 5 kg block when the 2 kg block leaves the contact with the ground, he is asking. So what will be the speed of this particular block when it is just leaving the contact? So now coming to this particular thing, so let me draw the diagram again here, please. So this is the given pulley here. So on this side there is a spring connected to an 5 kg block. So this one is 5 kgs block. So spring constant is also been given, that is K is equal to 40 Newton per meter. On the other side there is another block here which is actually on the ground. So this is 2 kgs only. So everywhere the spring is there is no friction at any particular point. So according to the question he is asking, so he is asking GS also to take the 10 meter per second. So he is asking what is the velocity of the spring is also the massless one. He is asking the speed of the 5 kgs block. So what is going to be the speed of the 5 kgs block when this particular 2 kgs block will just lift over here? So what will happen when the 2 kgs block is going to be just lifted? So when we write the block diagram of the 2 kgs block here, that is free body diagram for the 2 kgs block, the upward force will be the tension and the downward force is going to be the mg. So when it is under the just lifting conditions, T is equal to, that is 2 into G, where G value is taken to be the 10. So that is 20 newtons is been acting here. So next one, the free body diagram. Let us draw the free body diagram for the 5 kgs here. So since it has been coming down, So this is phi g acting in the downward direction, and upward direction will be your kx, and that can be equated with the tension, but still it is accelerating in the downward direction, sir. So in this particular situation, so what is the equation that we can write is, so this is phi g minus tension is equal to 5a. So now this is 50 minus tension is going to be your 20 newtons, and that is equal to the 5 into a, or your acceleration can be written as an, that is 30 by 5, which comes out to be the 6 meter per second square. So now we have got the acceleration with which the 5 kgs is coming down, but he has asked the speed with which it is coming down, sir. He has asked the speed with which it is coming down. So to calculate the speed with which it is coming down, so what sort of a relation we need to take it for it? So in this particular situation, that is the tension in, or the kx, whatever is going to be there. So let us go for the law of conservation of energy here. So coming to the law of conservation of energy, so according to this is law of conservation of energy. So coming to this one, so the 5 kgs block is coming down by a distance of x. That means that the potential energy will be the mgh is equal to, so we can write this energy will be stored in the form of the spring, that can be written as an, that is half kx square plus half mv square. So this is the situation now. So to calculate the x value, how much it is been coming down, so from here we can go that, so kx is equal to 20, which is equal to the tension under the just lifting conditions. So x is equal to, that is 20 by your k value is 40, that is equal to the 1 by 2, so or 0.5 is your decrease in the level of the height, decrease in the level of the 5 kgs. So this is mass of the 5 kgs is 5, g value let us take it as a 10, and x is 0.5 meters, that is 1 by 2, you can go for it. So this is half into k is 40 into 0.5 whole square plus mass of this one is half into 5 kgs into velocity square. This is the one he has asked. So now solve this particular thing, please. So this is 25 is equal to 20 into, this is 1 by 4 plus, we can take it as a 2.5 into v square. So this will be the 5 times, and this is v square. From on solving this one, you can get as a v is equal to 2 root v is equal to 2 root 2 meter per second. Okay, so now coming to the next question, please. Question number 17. A thin wire of the mass m is wounded over a cylinder of radius r, so that the wire assumes the shape of a solenoid of radius r and the length 2r. Find the moment of inertia of the wire solenoid about an axis of the cylinder. So now in this particular case, so wire is wounded, suppose this is your wire is wounded over a cylinder. So let us assume this is our cylinder. On this cylinder we are wounding a wire like this. That means every segment of the wire, or every segment, that is if I take this particular element, so every segment is going to behave as a ring. So then moment of inertia of the ring about this axis of rotation. So that will be equal to your, which is equal to the mr square. So this will be your moment of inertia of a ring, I of a ring. So now we can go for your, that is your first option, that is A. Now coming to your question number 18. When 1 gram of steam at 100 degrees centigrade is being mixed with an, this is an mixed with an ice at 0 degrees centigrade. The temperature of the mixture under steady state he is asking now. So coming to the calculation point of view, this particular thing. So for an ice which is at 0 degrees, to convert, that is ml. So first step, ice will be converting from the ice to the water. For that one, 1 into this will be the 80, so it requires 80 calories. Next, so for the same 1 gram of ice to rise to the 100 degrees centigrade, so mass into specific heat into difference in the temperature 100 degrees, it needs 100 calories of heat. So overall, for 180 calories of heat, the ice will be converted, the ice will be taken to the 100 degrees of water. Now, if 1 gram of steam converts into the water, then the heat is going to be the ml, which is 1 into 540, that is equal to the 540 calories of heat will be supplied. So for 540 calories of the heat which is supplied, but out of which only 180 calories is only required for the ice to melt and to rise its temperature to 100 degrees centigrade. So the resultant temperature will be left at, that is temperature of the resultant will be staying at the 100 degrees centigrade. So this is the condition. Next one, the coefficient of volumetric expansion. The coefficient of volumetric expansion is 18 into 10 to the power of 5. The thermometric bulbs has volume of 10 power minus 8 and cross section of the stem is 0.004 centimeters square. Cross section it is basically. Okay, assuming the bulb is filled with the mercury at 0 degrees, then the length of the mercury column at 100 degrees is asking. So to find the length of the air column at 100 degrees centigrade, so we know that the volume expansion of the gas is going, or the liquid is, that is delta V, change in the volume, is equal to initial volume into real expansion into delta T, that is change in temperature. So this can be written as an increase in the length into area is equal to volume into real expansion into delta T. So from this one, your delta L, that is increase in the length, can be found out as an initial volume V into real expansion into delta T by area A. So initial volume in the question is being given as n, that is 10 to the power of minus 8, 10 to the power of minus 8, and your real expansion is 1.18 into 10 to the power of minus 5. This has been given, and the rise in temperature will be the 100 degrees by your area is going to be the 4 into 10 to the power of minus 3. So this is your given information. On solving, or this is also in the mm's, so 10 to the power of minus 4 also you can go for this one. On solving this particular thing, you will be getting it as an, so 45 into 10 to the power of minus 3 meters, which is equal to the 4.5 centimeters. So this is your 4.5. That means your answer will be your option D in this particular case. Now coming to the question number 20. Two persons P and Q are the same height carrying the uniform bar of the length. Uniform bar of the length 3 meters. If Q is at one end, the distance of the P from the other end, so that P and Q receives a load of the ratio of 5:3. So P and Q should be receiving a load of 5:3 conditions. So for this to be solving, so let us consider this is your rod. So P and Q are been holding this one, please. P and Q are holding the rod. The total length is going to be the 3 meters. So Q is definitely, he has given it as a one end, so I'll be taking the Q here. And P is holding the, and P is holding the distance of the P from the other end, so that, so suppose if P is starting at this particular point, then your normal reactions in this particular case will be acting in the upward directions. So this is, let me take it as an N1 and let me take this as an N2. Your center of mass of this particular thing will be acting at the center. So since it is a 3 centimeters, this will become as an 1.5 centimeter, 1.5 meters. So if this particular distance, if I take it as an some x, then the torque about this center of mass will be equal to 0. So that means torque at P is equal to torque because of the Q, or tau 1 is equal to tau 2. So that is the N1 into perpendicular distance x is equal to N2 into perpendicular distance is 1.5 meters. So but N1 by N1 by N2 are in the ratio of N1 by N2 into x is equal to 1.5. Given in the question that they are in the ratio of 5:3. They are in the ratio of 5:3 times of x is equal to 1.5. So on cancelling it down, this one, this will be the 0.3 times. So x is equal to 0.9 meters. So if x is equal to 0.9 meters, he has asked from the other end. That is 1.5 minus 0.9. So it should be the 0.6 meters from the other end. So that means your answer should be option B. So this is your conditions. Next, coming to the question number 21. As shown in the figure, question number 21, as shown in the figure, an indicator L is connected in series with the resistance as shown in the figure. An inductor L is connected in series with the resistor, and the resistance R is equal to 10 ohms, and the resistance R is equal to 10 ohms. 10 ohms drops a potential voltage 80 volts across it when connected to an AC supply. V0 is equal to 100 volts, and omega, that is an angular frequency, is 12 radians per second. Inductive reactance is he's asking it, that is 15 by N. So he's asking what is the value of the N is how much. So to find the value of N is going to be how much. So let us take this particular thing. So let me draw the circuit again, please, here for you. So the circuit is going to be this one. So an inductor is being provided to you, and a resistance is being given. This is connected to an AC source here. Fine. So this is the current circuit. Then if you go for the potential drops conditions, that is V is equal to root over potential drop across the L square, that is voltage across the potential drop across the L and potential drop across the R. So this you can obtain by the relation that the potential drop across the inductor leads by the 90 degrees, then the potential drop, if this is VR and this is VL, so you can write this, they are perpendicular to each other. So now potential drop across the supply V0 is 100 volts. So if I take it as an 100 square is equal to, this is VL square plus VR square. Potential drop across this one is given as an 80 square. So from this one, VL square will be equal to the 60 square, or your potential drop across the inductor is 60 volts. Now he is asking the inductive reactance. So from this one, XL is equal to potential drop across the inductor by current passing through it. So what is that current passing through that particular thing is? So as you know, the potential drop across the resistance and potential drop across and resistance value, then the current passing through the circuit will be, because both of them are in the series combination, L and this is your R, I can be written as an potential drop across the resistance by resistance. Potential drop across the resistance is 80 volts and the value of the resistance is 10 ohms, which is equal to the 8 amps. So substituting here the current VL, we have got it as a 60 by 8. 60 by 8, this can be solved it as n. So how much it should be, sir? 7.5 ohms. So 7.5 ohms in the sense. So now this we have got the inductive things. 7.5 can be written. He has asked 15 by n is how much. So 7.5 can be written as n 15 by 2. So your n value will be 2. So which shows your option to be the, okay, sorry, this is an integer type, so n value is going to be the 2. Fine. Next one, 22nd one. Coming to the 22nd question, in a meter bridge experiment, S is a standard resistance, R is a resistance wire. It is found that the balancing length is 25 centimeters. If the R is replaced by a wire of half the length and half diameter of the R of same material, then balancing point will be how much? So he is replacing the R with half the length and half the diameter. So now, according to the meter bridge relationships, so you can go for the S by R is equal to, so S is a known resistance, or R by S is equal to, this is L1 by 100 minus L1. So from this one we can determine the value of the R is going to be how much. So R is equal to, so S is a standard resistance that is been connected over there. Okay, fine. So R will be getting in terms of the S, you are getting the balancing length at 25 centimeters. That is 25 by 75 of S. So that will be S by 3. Now he is replacing the same thing with another resistance R dash, let me take it as an, whose length is half and diameter is also half. So resistance can be written as an rho L by A or rho L by pi R square. Since length is halved and diameter is also halved, material is same, so resistivity will be same. So this will be L by 2 by pi R square by 4. So this goes for 2 times, that is 2 rho L by R. So sorry, pi, and this I have written it as an capital R. Let me write it in the smaller terms. This is small r square. So which should be the 2 times of the initial resistance R? It should be the 2 times of the initial resistance R, then balancing length he is asking. So now if I substitute this one in the, for finding the balancing length, so this will be your R dash by S is equal to L1 by 100 minus L1. So R dash is 2R, but what is R is S by 3 by S is equal to L1 by 100 minus L1. SS will goes off here, cross multiply here, that is 200 minus 2L1 is equal to 3L1, which is 5 times of the L1 is equal to 200. So L1 is equal to 40 centimeters. So that will be your answer, or you can go for an 40.00 like this. This will be your answer. Coming to the next question. So in this particular question, he has taken in parallel plate capacitance of the 800 microfarads. So on this particular case, so on that one, on the negative side, the separation distance is going to be there, potential difference he has given. Now an electromagnetic radiation has been falling on the negatively charged plate, which emits with this much kinetic energy. The electrons are attracted towards the positive plate, fine, with a constant current flow. This is the one constant current flow. So he's asking the time is going to be how much. So how can you calculate this particular current flow is going to be how much? So now coming to this particular thing, so let this be the plate or the negative plate on which the electromagnetic radiation is been falling. Because of that one, electrons are ejecting and they are traveling for a distance of 1 centimeter here. So because of that one, the current that is being developed in this case is going to be the 10 to the power of the current that is being developing is 10 to the power of minus 12. So this much current is been developing, fine. So now how can you write the equation of the current? Current can be written as n, that is charge flowing in a given interval of the time. So from this one, the charge can be written as n, whatever the charge that is been flowing from the positive to the negative plate. So that we are trying to calculate here. So Q is equal to current passing into time. So your current is 10 into 10 to the power of minus 12 into time t. And this charge can be equated with the capacitance and potentials. So this is 10 into 10 to the power of 12 into time is equal to capacitance. He has given it as an 800 microfarads, that is 800 into 10 to the power of minus 6, and potential he has given it as an some 100 volts. Okay, so now this is 10 to the power of minus 12 into t is equal to, this will be the 8 into 10 to the power of minus 2. So when I take it to the other side, so t will be written as an 8 into 10 to the power of 10 seconds. So this will be your answer. So now coming to the question, he has asked what is the y? Y will be your 8. Fine. So next question please. Consider a narrow tunnel is along the diameter of the a narrow tunnel is along the diameter of a uniform solid sphere. Uniform solid sphere with its center at O. DA is a straight line passing. DA, this is the DA, whatever he has mentioned here. Straight line passing through the tunnel, fine, of the sphere ABC is an equilateral triangle such that OD, this particular distance OD, is equal to the OA, and this is also equal to your AC. Since it's equilateral means all of them should be same. A particle of mass m at point D is slowly moved directly it B via DOAB directly to the B. So this will be the directly to the B via DOAB under the gravity. In this process, minus 3 joules of work done by the gravity in moving the same particle slowly from the work done by the gravity in moving the same particle slowly from A to B via C. So he wants to move the from A to B via C is minus n joules. So he is asking what is the n joules is going to be how much. So since it's an work done is going to be the, so distance traveled is going to be the same. Distance traveled is going to will be the same, sir, here. So in the question he has given that work done in moving the particle from so from D it has been starting. So let me take it from the D itself. From D to B, from D to B is minus 3 joules. So if I divide this total distance as work done from D to O plus work done from O to A plus work done from A to B is equal to minus 3 joules. This is the condition I have divided it. So now since the potentials at So gravitational potential, that is the G potential at D and A are same. So work done from D to O and work done from O to A will be equal and opposite, so these two can be removed here. So remaining is the work done from A to B is equal to minus 3 joules. Since it's a conservative in nature, so independent of the path, independent of path here. So since it is independent of the path, so work done from A to B along C will also be same. Will also same. That is equal to minus 3 joules, as minus already given in the question, so your n or x, whatever the unknown value will be, that is equal to 3. So coming to our next question, sir. In this case, a radioactive element P degenerates into the Q, which is successively degenerates into the R. So it's a successive disintegration. So P is the parent nucleus, which is converting into the daughter nucleus Q, and Q is another parent further R, and R is the final daughter. And the rate of disintegrations for the P to Q is being given as a lambda, and the rate of disintegration from Q to R is given as an 2 lambda. So this is the information given. At T is equal to 0, number of nuclei of the P, Q, R, this is the information. N0 is initial stages. At T1, the number of nuclei of the P and Q are N1, N2 and N3 respectively. Ratio of the N1 to N1 he is asking when it is maximum. So when it will be maximum, when the rate of disintegration is equal to the rate of formation. So applying that particular condition, so rate of disintegration will be equal to the rate of formation, that is dN2 by dt is equal to lambda 1 n1 minus, or this should be equal to the lambda 2 n2, right, the maximum condition. So dN by dt will be equal to 0, or else if I want to go for the proper thing, so take a minus, this term will be equal to 0. That implies lambda 1 n1 is equal to lambda 2 n2. From this one you can write it as an n1 by n2 is equal to lambda 2 by lambda 1. Lambda 2 is given as a 2 lambda, lambda 1 is given as a lambda, which is equal to the 2. So this will be the ratio of n1 by n2. Next one, question number 26. The ends of the stretched wire of the length L are fixed at x is equal to 0, x is equal to L if in one experiment the displacement of the wave, this is y is equal to a1 sine of pi x by L into sine omega t, it's a stationary wave, and energy is E1. In another experiment its displacement is, this is also another stationary wave, that is 2 pi kxl sine 2 omega t, the energy is E2. So he is asking what is the relation between the energies, that is E2 is to E1 is going to be how much. So as we know that energy is going to be, what is the formula for the energy is, so average energy E is equal to, or average energy is equal to half mu omega square a square into dx. So from this one, energy is directly proportional to the square of amplitude. So from this one, E1 by E2 can be written as an A1 by A2 whole square. So amplitude is also there, and moreover I'm forgetting this one, so frequency also, it is omega square also proportional. From this one we can go for the omega 1 by omega 2 whole square. So in the question he has mentioned that the amplitudes of both of them is same, that is A1 is equal to A2. This is according to the question. A1 and A2 are same, which is equal to the A if I can write. So both of them will be cancelled. So then remaining is going to be the omega 1. In the first equation it will be the omega. In the second it will be 2 omega whole square. So on cancelling out, that will be the 1 by 4. So from this one, E2 is equal to 4 times of E1. This is our relationship. Next one. So the radius of curvature of each surface of the equiconvex lens. The radius of curvature of the surface of equiconvex lens. So our radius of curvature he has provided. Refractive index of the glass, that is mu, he has given 1.25. The final image forms after 4 internal reflections inside the lens for parallel paraxial incident beam. That means, so we can consider that they are coming from a long distance. Calculate the distance of the image from the lens. So what will be this particular distance of the image from the lens here? So we can go for the relates an equiconvex lens. Radius of curvature also he has provided to us. So can we find the focus from this relation? So from the given information, focus from the lens maker's formula, 1 by f is equal to mu minus 1 into equiconvex lens 2 by r. From this relationship, mu is equal to 1.25 minus 1 into this is 2 by radius of curvature is 42. Radius of curvature given as 42. So now on solving this one, this will be the 21. So this will be the 1 minus 1, 1.25 minus 1 is 0.25. I can write it as an 1 by 4 into this is 1 by 21. Okay, but it is taking the 4 reflections inside that particular case, please. So if I go in the normal procedure, so that means we are neglecting the reflecting part that is given in the question. So this particular portion is the main important thing. So final image forms after 4 reflections. What is this particular inside the lens only? What is the meaning of this particular thing is, it is 4 reflections means 4 times it is behaving as a mirror. So because it is entering into the lens and leaving the lens, so refracting for 5 times. So on that particular instances, on that particular cases, if you can solve this particular thing, that is, so let us solve this particular thing in a new way, because we have neglected that particular portion in this one. So I'm erasing this entirely thing, please. So let me go. 4 times it is behaving as a mirror, and 5 times it is behaving as an lens. So that means the total focal length f is equal to 4 times as an mirror plus 5 times as an lens. Okay, so since it is coming from the infinity conditions, we can apply that, or combined focal length can be written as an 1 by f like this. So 1 by s is equal to 4 times as this is 21 plus 5 times by this is 84 conditions. So on solving this one, you will be getting it as an 1 by 4. So focus f is equal to 4 centimeters. At this particular distance, your final image will be forming, because your rays are paraxial rays. So focus will be your location of the final image. So coming to the next question, sir. So it's an thermodynamic, there's a graph question. A certain mass of the gas is taken from an initial thermodynamic state A to the state B in the process 1 and 2. So this is your first process. So in A to B it is going in this way, and second case it is traveling along this particular way. This is one he has given. The gas does 5 joules of the work and absorbs 4 joules of the heat energy. The gas does 5 joule. How much work done is 5 joules, and heat absorbed is, that is dq is equal to 4 joules, dw is equal to 5 joules. In process 2, the gas absorbs 5 joules of the heat. The work done by the gas in this process 2, he is asking w joules or omega joules is. So but A and B are going to be the initial and final points, so your du will be the same. So that is the change in potential energy, change in internal energy will be 0. That means, so the work done in this particular process, that is du1 is equal to dq minus, or dq1 dw1. This should be equal to the dq2 minus dw2 is equal to du. So change in potential energy, or u1 I am taking, let me take this as an u1 and this as an u2, or we can eliminate this particular thing please. So the change in potential energies will be equal to 0. So this is the relation. In the first case, the heat given is going to be the 4 joules and minus work done is 5 is equal to, second case, heat is 5 and he is asking work done, that is dw2 is equal to how much. So now this is going to be the -1 is equal to 5 is minus of dw2 work done in the second process. So dw2 is equal to 6 joules. So this will be your answer for the work done in the second case, second process. So now question number 29. Find the number of correct statements and fill the same in the OMR sheet. At absolute temperature condition, the metals have finite conductivity. That is the first one. Next, second question, second of the in an intrinsic semiconductor, current due to the conduction band electrons is more than the conduction due to the holes in the valency band. Reverse current in junction diode is not very much depend on the applied reverse voltage. D. Inside a crystal of silicon, each electron of valency band should have different energy levels. Next one, photodiode should be fabricated such that the generation of the electrons and hole pairs takes place in or near depletion region, and for most effective measurements of photo effects, biasing should be done in such a way that diffusion current should be more than the drift current. And your next one, that is transistors are applicable to amplify sinusoidal input signals. PNP transistors are preferred over NPN transistors. If the two metal ends of the probes of a millimeter is connected to the two-leg transistor, it does not conduct. If even on reversing the connecting points, the conduction does not take place. The two legs will be emitter and collector if the transistor is not damaged. So overall, how many statements he has given? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 statements he has given. So out of these 8 statements, he is asking which of them are going to be the correct statements he is asking. So in this particular cases, so let me come here. So PNP transistors are preferred over the, so that will be better for us to identify the wrong options please. So PNP transistors are preferred over the NPN transistor. This you can go for the wrong one. Next, if two metal ends are going to be the probes of the millimeter is connected to the two-leg transistor, it does not conduct the current. Even on reversing the connection points, the conduction does not take place. The two legs will be emitter and the collector if the transistor is not damaged. So now coming to the other one, the current, this is a transistor are capable of amplifying only sinusoidal input signals, so this you can have it. Now the photodiode can be fabricated such that, this is another question, hole pairs, electron hole pair takes place in or near the depletion region. For more effective measurements, photo effects biasing should be done in such a way that diffusion current should be more than drift current. So these are some of the questions. At absolute intrinsic semiconduction, the conduction band electrons is more than the current due to the holes in the valency band. So this is another one. Next one, so reverse current in junction diode is not very much dependent upon the applied reverse voltage. So this is another one. So total is going to be the 3 wrongs out of the 8 questions, please. So you can go further, that is the 5 questions that which have been correctly given. Now coming to the 30th one, last question. In a YDSC, parallel stream of the electrons are accelerated by the potential difference V is equal to 45.5 volts is used to obtain the interference pattern. If the slits are separated, so parallel stream of electrons are accelerated by this much potential difference. So slit separation he has given a 66.3. Distance between the screen, that is capital D, is been given this much. Find the distance between the 2 consecutive maximums on the screen. Given the mass of the electron and h on, what do you call the distance between the consecutive maximums on a screen is? That is nothing but an beta, which is called as an fringe width. Fringe width is equal to lambda into capital D by small d. So in this case we need to find out the lambda. So applied potential difference for the electrons are going to be, that is 45.5 volts. It's an YDSC. Small d value he has given it as an 66.3 micrometers, and capital D is equal to that is 109.2 centimeters he has provided to us. So mass of the electron, h value also he has given. So from this one, how can you determine the value of the lambda? So wavelength we need to determine, sir. So since these are been causing, so lambda can be written as an that is hc by potential into charge. We can write this particular case, please. Or else these are accelerated by some potential difference which is equal to having some kinetic energy. So their kinetic energy, that is half m velocity square, is equal to potential into charge. So or this cannot be right now majorly used, so here we can use the lambda value, please. So h value he has provided in the question, that is 6.63 into 10 to the power of minus 34 into velocity of the light 3 into 10 power 8 by applied potential difference is some 45.5 volts into charge of an electron 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19. On solving this one, we will be getting the lambda, and substitute this value in the beta, small d, and capital D is also provided to us. On solving this one, finally you will be getting your answer as an 120. 120, that is a maximum thing. This is the distance between them, please. Okay, fine. So this completes your paper discussion completely on the exam that is being conducted on the February 7th. All the best for your examinations. Thank you.